ever feel like we're churning out students like a factory instead of like, actually helping them reach their full potential?
Yeah.
We're going to deep dive into this whole idea of personalized education.
Okay.
And it gets really interesting.
Right.
We're diving into Vikas Bhatnagar's work.
Okay.
He's CEO of Hyperspace Action Research Services and a former professor who actually put this stuff into practice.
What I find so interesting about his work is
Yeah.
that he's actually done this. He's not just talking about it.
Right.
He's arguing that education should be deeply personalized.
Yeah.
Like recognizing each student, like their own individual goals, strengths, and how they learn best to shape how they're taught.
So it's more than just like letting students pick a few electives.
Yeah.
This sounds like a total overhaul.
Exactly. It's a complete overhaul.
Wow.
And he says this approach, it doesn't just help students get good jobs,
Right.
but it also helps them find more meaning in their lives.
Right.
He compares it to Netflix and Amazon.
Oh.
Their whole business model is built around giving people what they want based on their preferences.
Right.
And it works amazingly well. He thinks education should do the same.
So I get the why. I
Yeah.
get why personalized education is important.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice?
You're right. It's not simple.
Right.
You can't just change a few things.
Right.
Bhatnagar says there are three main things you have to do.
Okay.
First, you got to really understand the student's goals.
Okay.
So imagine a student says, I want to make a difference in the world.
Okay.
That's a great goal,
Right.
but it's very broad.
Right.
Bhatnagar would say you have to go deeper.
Right.
What does making a difference really mean to this student? What do they want to be doing in 5 or 10 years?
Because making a difference could mean a million different things.
Exactly.
To a million different people.
Exactly. And the second thing is you have to look at each student's unique qualities.
Okay.
What are they good at? How do they learn best? Right. Are they shy and do better in small groups? Or are they outgoing and love being the center of attention?
Right.
And then finally, you have to take all of that, their goals, their strengths, their learning style, and build it into their education.
Right.
You have to customize their experience to help them reach their full potential.
This sounds like way more than just changing up how you teach or giving students more time to finish assignments.
Yes.
This is like restructuring the entire education system.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Bhatnagar is very clear about this. Real personalization. It's not just about making a few changes here and there.
Right.
It has to be part of the very foundation of the school.
Right.
Its vision, its values.
Right.
And it starts with finding students who believe in what the school is trying to do.
Okay, so how do you make sure that those values aren't just empty words?
Right.
Like something you'd see on a brochure.
Right.
How do you make them real in the classroom? Bhatnagar did this at LB-SIM, right?
Yes. He was the chairperson of the doctoral program at the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management in New Delhi.
Okay.
And he wanted to create a program that wasn't just about academics,
Right.
but also things like feeling safe to share your ideas, imagination, and doing research that had a real purpose.
Yeah.
These weren't just buzzwords. They were core values built into every single part of the program.
So how did he do that? How did he bring those values to life at LB-SIM?
It all started with how they chose their students. They didn't just look at grades and test scores.
Okay.
They looked for students who actually embodied those values.
Interesting.
Students who were more than just good at taking tests.
Now that in an admissions process I can get behind.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing to see a program value real-world skills over just grades.
Exactly.
What specific qualities were they looking for?
They had 6 main qualities they thought were crucial for doing impactful research.
Okay.
Critical thinking imagination,
Mm-hmm.
a growth mindset, meaning you're always willing to learn and grow, something called anti-fragility,
Yeah.
which basically means being able to bounce back from challenges,
Okay.
ethics, and achievement motivation.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive list.
Yeah.
But how do you actually measure things like imagination or having a growth mindset?
That's what's so cool about this.
Yeah.
They used a bunch of different methods.
Okay.
Psychometric tests, in-depth
Psych.
interviews,
Yeah.
presentations, even having candidates talk about their research passions. They wanted to get a complete picture of each applicant. It was almost like they were putting together this all-star team of doctoral students,
Right.
each with their own unique strengths and perspectives.
I love that. So it sounds like they were really trying to change the game when it came to choosing doctoral students.
Mhm.
But did this personalized approach stop there? Or did it continue once students were actually in the program?
Oh, it definitely didn't stop there. Remember those psychometric assessments we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't just use those for admissions. They used that data to create personalized learning plans for each and every student.
So they were really tailoring the educational experience to each individual.
That's amazing. What did that look like in practice?
Okay, so for example, let's say a student scored really high on that growth mindset scale.
Right.
Their learning plan might include more challenging assignments, or they might be encouraged to take more intellectual risks.
Okay.
And when it came to research, Bhatnagar was a big believer in respecting each student's individual motivations and the methods they wanted to use.
Yeah.
Nobody was forced into a particular research box.
I love that. It seems like giving students the freedom to explore their passions within a supportive structure is so important, especially at the doctoral level.
Absolutely. And this goes back to Bhatnagar's point about moving away from that one-size-fits-all model of education.
Right.
He says that forcing every student to follow the same standardized path just doesn't work, especially when it comes to doctoral studies where students should be pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Right. It makes you wonder how many amazing research ideas have been shut down because they didn't fit into some predefined box.
Exactly.
He gave a really fascinating example in the article about Vedic literature.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, he talks about this hypothetical student who wants to research employee happiness,
Okay.
but through the lens of Vedic literature.
Right.
Now imagine that student having to go through a traditional business research program.
Right.
It just wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. You'd want to give them the tools and resources to really dive deep into that unique intersection of ancient wisdom and the modern workplace. So how would Bhatnagar approach a situation like that?
Well, he suggests a much more tailored approach.
Okay.
So instead of forcing the student to fit into some pre-existing mold,
Right.
why not create a customized curriculum?
Yeah.
One that actually supports their research question.
So you might have courses on ancient Vedic texts alongside more traditional management theory.
Exactly.
It's about creating a learning journey that truly fits their unique needs. Precisely. Bhatnagar actually suggests forming a thesis advisory committee really early on for students like this.
Oh, interesting.
And the committee's role wouldn't be to tell the student what to do or to steer them towards a particular outcome,
Right.
but rather to design a personalized course of study.
Okay.
Helps them develop the specific skills and knowledge they'll need to really excel in their research.
That's a really interesting idea. It seems like this approach would require a lot of trust and flexibility on the part of the institution and the professors.
It absolutely does, and it requires a huge shift in mindset.
Yeah.
But Bhatnagar would say that the potential payoff is massive.
Right.
He believes that personalized education, it's not just about giving students knowledge.
Right.
It's about helping them develop things like adaptability, critical thinking skills, and self-awareness,
Right.
qualities that will help them no matter what they do in their careers.
It's about empowering students to become the best versions of themselves, not just copies of what came before them. And that brings us back to something else Bhatnagar really emphasizes, which is the joy of learning.
Yes.
He really believes that getting a doctorate shouldn't be about just enduring hardship and jumping through hoops.
Right.
It should be a joyful experience,
Exactly.
a joyful process of discovery.
Yes.
And he actually put this belief into action at LBSIM.
He did.
So I'm really curious, how do you inject joy into a doctoral program?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a tough crowd.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like somewhere along the way we forgot that learning should be joyful,
Yeah.
especially in higher education.
So how did Bhatnagar bring that back? How did he bring joy back into the equation?
Well, they got really creative at LBSIM.
Okay.
Bhatnagar talks about using art to really bring those core values to life.
Okay.
They even had a doctoral anthem,
What?
a song specifically for the program.
Wow.
And they put on a play
Oh, wow.
that Bhatnagar actually wrote himself, and the students performed it.
Wow. Talk about thinking outside the box.
That is definitely not your typical doctoral program.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was really encouraging those students to connect with their learning on a much deeper level.
Exactly. It wasn't just about the intellectual stuff. It was about creating a more holistic experience. And this focus on joy, it wasn't just some feel-good tactic.
Right.
Bhatnagar saw as crucial for fostering the kind of creativity, resilience, out-of-the-box thinking that leads to groundbreaking research.
Makes you wonder what would happen if we brought that same energy to education as a whole. You know,
Right.
what if we thought not just about what students are learning,
Right.
but how they're learning?
Yeah.
If we focused on curiosity, joy, a genuine love of learning,
It's amazing.
wouldn't that be something?
It would be amazing. It's a really powerful vision for the future of education.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just the individual student.
Right.
Bhatnagar believes that this approach could actually change society as a whole.
Oh.
Imagine everyone feeling empowered to explore their unique potential.
And education being seen as this lifelong journey of discovery and growth.
It's a world I want to live in.
Right.
It sounds like Bhatnagar is challenging all of us, not just educators, but all of us, to rethink our assumptions about education and embrace this more personalized, learner-centric approach.
It's not just about some nice idea.
Right.
He actually lays out how to do this,
Right.
how to revamp admissions, how to make learning environments more flexible and responsive.
It is really inspiring to think that we can all make a difference in this space, whether we're teacher students or just people who love to learn.
Exactly.
It all starts with a shift in mindset, recognizing that everyone's different and one size doesn't fit all when it comes to education.
Absolutely.
It's about embracing diversity,
Yes.
nurturing strength,
Yeah.
and fostering that true love of learning in ourselves and in others.
It's about realizing everyone has something unique to offer.
Exactly. Well, Bhatnagar's work is a really powerful reminder that we can always find new and better ways to learn and grow.
There's always room for improvement.
Exactly. And as we continue to navigate this ever-evolving world of education, it's a conversation we need to keep having.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners out there, what are your thoughts on personalized education? What really resonated with you from this deep dive? We'd love to hear your perspectives on this crucial topic.